So Elden Ring, I guess there's like a secret wall in there that you have to hit over 50 times in order to be able to open it up. So you pulled this up, Ray. So tell me
Yeah,
about
here
this
it is.
more.
Here's the video. Yeah, basically, this was just launched like a few hours ago. This
Okay.
someone discovered. See how many
Just
times he's
gotta
hitting the wall.
hack at this.
He
Yeah.
hit, and if you hit it 50 times, it literally opens up this wall here. If you watch, and
Mm.
it's a whole little room here, and there's NPCs in here.
Where is
And
this
there's
at?
That's Volcano Manor. So that's just a
Oh,
little
is
town in there. I
it?
love these quests. I did all these quests in here, dude. That place is dope.
You did all of Volcano Manor?
All the quests, yeah, and all everything, yeah.
I couldn't find what to do in there, man, because I got in there and I went upstairs to the table and I fought that spirit and I killed him. And then I went through the halls or whatever, and there was like some little, back alleyway or whatever up there, but I didn't find anything else.
Yeah,
to
you have
do.
to connect the bridge. There's 2 bosses in there, but
Uh-huh.
the lady in the hall, she gives you little notes. You have to read the notes and their little quests. So it's pretty
Mm.
much PvP. It teaches you how to PvP. It sends you
Oh,
around the whole map, and you
yeah.
have to assassinate people. So
Oh,
it
okay.
it like brings up like those little red stones, and you got to go into their world, invade them, and
Yeah.
then it just has you assassinate everyone, and then it ties in once you get to the final boss. You have to assassinate the final boss, and then you're the
Dude, like
you know.
I
Okay.
don't understand how anyone found this. Like I can't
Mhm.
even possibly fathom. I can't fathom how anyone
What made
discovered
somebody
this.
want to go that way? Yeah, that's
What
weird.
made you decide to hit it 50 times?
To just keep going at it, and then boom,
Yeah,
it finally
why? I
disappears.
can't fathom that rationale. You know what I'm saying? Like imagine yourself. Could you
Yeah.
imagine yourself keep hitting a wall 50 times and thinking something different is going to happen? I can't imagine. Why would you do that? Just keep going. I can't. And how would you find this particular wall that allowed that to occur? You're just banging every wall meticulously. That would take like a lifetime. I feel like
Yeah,
I cannot fathom how someone found this.
Hmm.
It just blows me away, dude. It absolutely shocks me. Unless there's like
Yeah.
some code they discovered.
Yeah, dude, I think the same thing, like, because that's insanity just to hit every wall 50 times. So
Yeah, it's insanity.
I'm thinking maybe they're running against the wall, and maybe they clip through. You know how like in some games you could kind of clip through and see through a wall. So maybe that kind of sparked like, hey, is this
There's
supposed to
some
be a fake wall? But there's something missing. Why would you hit all walls 50 times? Like, that's insane, dude.
Yeah, my next thought was exactly what Arachne just said, or the other was leaked by a dev, someone close to a dev, because I cannot fathom how anyone would naturally discover this. I
My
just
only
can't
question
fathom
is
it.
there anything in there worth use?
Well, this is just an area you access. That guy right there, he sells like Ashes of War, but you access this at the beginning of the Volcano Manor. So you go
that
through
guy
the
looks
front
familiar.
door.
I talked to that guy.
Okay.
But what I'll say too here is, how do you guys feel about a game? This game in particular, I guess maybe games in general, but I feel like this one is even more egregious in its blatancy on it. How do you feel about basically, in some sense, the absolute necessity to guides? Like I feel like a lot of this game, you can't help but you will look something up. Like it's almost unavoidable. Like you will have to look things up to learn something or discover something. Or I feel like this game without a community would be really difficult, like to play through to completion.
I kind of like it because, for one, it just makes it so that it adds like way more mystery to the game. Like if I decided I didn't want to use any guides, right, then I'll just be going through this world for a long ass time. So that like makes the longevity of it like tenfold. Whether I want to spend that much time on some returnal shit, you know what I mean, is up to me or whatnot. But I like how it's like a community, like how like people are like sharing little things, here and there, like, oh, I found this, I found that, I did this, did that, whatever. Like people are taking their time to go through all of these specific quests and look for these, specific things or these items or whatever and stuff like that. And I think it's cool because it's like, hey, somebody wanted to dedicate 10 hours to figure out how this shit worked or whatever. right? And that just means that that's like the tip of the iceberg. Like there's so much more out there that people will be able to find. So if it took, one person to do all of this just to figure something out, like, what else out there? What else is out there? You know what I'm saying? Like there's going to be more shit just getting discovered. This 50 hit wall, after being out for like 2 weeks is one thing, you know what I'm saying? They added a different NPC yesterday, you know what I mean? What else are they going to add just like sneakily inside of there?
Yeah, that's adding though.
Hey, but to answer your question, Ray, I think it makes the game a little more fulfilling because it makes things a little more challenging and hard. At first glance, it's confusing as heck. And this is one thing I was always torn. Like, man, this game is really confusing where to go. But like Gali said, it makes it more mysterious. I just like that things are a little more challenging and it makes the game a lot more fulfilling. Like every time I walk away from this game, I feel like I accomplished something. Right? I feel like I accomplished something. And it's a little more memorable because you kind of have to look up steps. And it's very like sometimes the order is very important. You can mess up. Like I messed up a lot of quest lines in the game because I finished things out of order. So I'm like, dang, I didn't even consider that my actions in the game are so impactful because they are, So to answer your question, I feel like it makes it more fulfilling. So I like it because
you would have never experienced those without the guides, without the community. I feel like a lot of these things none of us would ever experience. Like there's no way I would have ever finished Randy's quest line without someone helping me or without a community talking about it. And I think like I would just say like I agree with everything you said, Mark, except I'd put a caveat. I think that statement's only true if the game is as brilliant as Elden Ring. Because I don't think you could just say make Far Cry 6 this way and all of a sudden it's better. I think people would be much more pissed off. If you couldn't do anything in a Far Cry without a guide. You couldn't do anything. And I'm not saying Elden Ring is that bad, but it's close. You would get lost pretty early and pretty quickly and feel pretty defeated without the community. And I think it only really works here because how good the game is. I think it's very high risk. I don't know if it's actually a good thing to do. I worry about.
Yeah, I mean, like let's look at a game like WoW. There's a lot of quest lines that are so involved. You have to look them up too because just playing the game, you may not know, hey, I need to do this or do this raid or do that raid. Maybe if you read it very closely and you know a lot about lore, but I just feel like if the game is fun at its core, it doesn't matter how hard something is, the people will always have fun. Luckily, the core, all From Software games, I love the combat. I think it's perfect. So it's just always fun doing stuff,
Yeah,
I just
kind of got
subjectively
like a puzzle though, because it's almost like a hardcore puzzle. You know what I mean? Like there's
true.
like a lot of puzzles in these games and stuff like that. But
yeah,
like,
dude.
for you to finish this whole quest, it's a big ass fucking puzzle that you gotta solve. You know what I mean? To know like, okay, this is what I gotta do. I gotta go over here to be able to trigger this conversation with this person. Or you just like, okay, let me go and do something, and then I'll come back and check and see if that person's got more to add. You know what I mean?
Or how you have
fight
to
a boss and come back.
Or how you have to remember. Like I'll leave the game, and then like as I sit down to play, I'll think to myself, okay, what were the things that I really wanted to do? What were the things that I really wanted to go and that dragon on that bridge. I'm gonna go back and check out that dragon. Like I just think that I think I'm really surprised about with this game is how forgiving we are about these things, because I really do truly believe that if a player went into Far Cry 6 or Valhalla or Forbidden West,
definitely Valhalla,
and
bro,
they couldn't figure out shit to do, I think people would fillet it. I think people would be so mad and pissed. But for some reason, I know it's not just for some reason.
It's because it's too much interesting shit to do out there. The game is so
freaking right. It's so freaking, exactly. It's so, mind-bendingly incredible what you're looking at and what you're actually discovering that you forgive what it's asking of you. It's just fascinating to me. You forgive that it's asking you to solve a big ass puzzle. This isn't just like, what is it? Portal, a room. It's the whole world is a puzzle, and you like forgive it for that. Like yanking your chain like this. Hit the wall 50 times and we'll give you something.
It's
like
an escape room, bro.
Like that. Like
It's
it's
an
just
escape room, man. You
it's
got
just
mad tiers and levels to these puzzles, dude.
and I don't want, because I hear this narrative stuff a lot of narratives going around, especially last week with the developers, right, talking about how
The UX and
the
stuff.
UX was like so bad in this game, and certain things like I don't want like the Ubisoft developer to go back home and say, okay, I'll just make it like Elden Ring. We'll just make everything vague. We'll just make it all open and no direction. There'll be no user experience at all. You just have to walk. Dude, your game's going to be shitty. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's not that fact in and of itself
it's
that
the
makes
world,
this
man.
game so great. Like I think people are missing that point. Like it's not just that there's no cluttered UI. It's not just that there's no UX, so that makes it fun all of a sudden. No, it's the freaking world is so well made and intriguing and breathtaking in every aspect that I do that makes it so great that I'm forgiving that there's no UX. It's
And then
not that there's no
nothing's the
UX
same,
that
man.
makes
Nothing's
it
the same.
great. Right. I'm just forgiving of that. I don't care. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, I think games like this change how we play games, because you're right, Ray. If this was like Far Cry or Assassin's Creed, I wouldn't have the motivation to do some of these complex quest lines, to farm for some of these weapons. I wouldn't have the motivation to do it, honestly. But I feel like this game, because it actually rewards you for playing and paying attention to the world, because like the other Dark Souls, like the other Souls games, the world kind of always told the story. You know what I mean? So this is just a continuation of that. And until you kind of figure out how the game makes you play it, because I feel like this From Software games, you experience them differently, just the way that they're built and they're designed. And luckily, I feel like the developers, I feel like they're prideful in their recipe, and they didn't, they didn't make it simpler for people. They always stuck by how they intended the players to play the game. And I feel like it's just a rewarding way once you figure it out or look up a guide, because it is tough, dude. I struggled just figuring out where to go so many times. I went out of order. I looked up guides on the order you play the game, dude. My order was
Totally.
completely
Me too,
upside
bro.
down, because
Yeah,
I didn't know what
too.
to do, man. So
Me too.
I just try to play the game, and I feel like once I embraced just having fun and just going out there and doing whatever, it was kind of like there's like a freedom in that. You know what I mean? I could just play the game. You know what I mean?
and I just like the fact that I can play this game, beat it, and then play it again from my current position and do it all over again, but experience totally different things. And it not be because like it's something totally different. Like it's literally the same stuff. It's just that areas that I might not have caught wind of before,
for sure.
I'm able to go see. There's still parts of the map that I haven't seen yet, and there's probably a lot of pieces of the map that I won't discover. But like I'll know that I'll just blow through some areas, and then I'll just be searching around some areas on the next playthrough. You know what I'm saying? So that's just gonna make me want to keep going back. I mean, Dark Souls was one of those games. Dark Souls, Diablo was like one of those that you just kept playing over and over and over again, and it was always something good that you wanted. You know what I mean? Those boss souls that you used for one weapon, you could use for another weapon at a different vendor. So now you got to go get them again the second time, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's nice.
I just worry. Well, because I agree, Mark Raya, that I think it's going to change how we play games, and I do think it's going to change how developers develop games. And I think, like Arachnid said there, we will see some Elden Ring babies from other publishers that will be trash. I think that's what I worry about. I worry about like people just thinking the obscurity in and of itself is a good thing, equals good. And I don't think that obscurity in and of itself therefore equals good. I don't think that's what makes Elden Ring good. I think it's Elden Ring's world building, like you mentioned. The world is the character, the discovery, the rewarding, how rewarding it is, with obscurity. Like those two things, like together, are what make it great. Not just the obscurity in and of itself. And I feel like we're focusing a lot on the fact that the map doesn't have markers. we're focusing on how the world doesn't have much of a user experience. Like, that's not what makes it good. It's a combination of things, and I worry that into the future, people like the guy who said my life is a lie. Your life isn't a lie. I think user experience is pretty important. Don't lose sight of that, because you're not good enough. You're not good enough to make a game that doesn't need a user experience to be great. You got to understand that. Like, that's the real truth here. You just aren't good enough. So the game you can make needs a good user experience. I agree. Sorry. Like, Far Cry 6 needs a good user experience, because your game on its own isn't good without it, where Elden Ring is, right? So that doesn't need it. So that's what I fear. Like, we're going to see some people try to do an Elden Ring thing, and it's going to be we're going to hate it, right?
Yeah. And I think developers are up for a daunting task, because creating a world like Elden Ring or like any of the Dark Souls game, dude, that takes a very unique mind, I feel.
Yeah.
Because all these pissant little dungeons and shacks, everything has a little intricate story or features to it, man. I play so many games and everything is just a copy and paste. So
Totally.
good luck
That's
creating
what
a world like this.
Ghost of Tsushima was the biggest copy and paste I'd ever played, and everyone said it was game of the year. Like, to me, this, in my opinion, Ghost of Tsushima is like B tier, like almost C tier in comparison to this. If this is the standard, it's trash.
Watch it, Ray. Watch it, Ray. You're gonna get some people on your ass, man.
It's garbage in comparison to this game. Like, it really is, man. Ghost of Tsushima was not that good. It wasn't bad, but now that I've played this, it's like, oh my gosh, that game was a mess. Compared to this, it was a total mess.
But yeah, man. So
and also, one more thing I'll say.
Okay.
Can you go back to the old From Software way? After playing this, can you see yourself going back to the old method, the Dark Souls, the interchangeable, or do you want to play open world now? Are you kind of stuck?
I would want to play this, but because they are who they are, they can go back to Dark Souls 3 and make it Dark Souls 4, and I'd still play the shit out of the game. But would I want to be able to jump, at least? Yes. I would love to be able to jump.
Jumping, dude?
Jump. You can take all the other shit, the open world and stuff. You can take that back. Just let me jump, man. Just give me the jump, and we cool. You know. But yeah, they can make anything, dude. They can make a fucking 8-bit. They can make an 8-bit, and I'll play that shit. From Software come out with an 8-bit, I'm buying it, bro. Like, no questions asked, man.
Yeah, that's true. I would too, but then heartbeat, and it'll be another 9 out of 10, easy. Baseline. Easy. Like, we just start there. You know how all games start at 0 and they go up?
Right. No. Yeah, this one starts at 10. It starts at 10, and then you got to find out what's wrong with it to lower the score.
I like that. It's in complete reverse. You start at 10, you got to find out what's wrong with it to drop it down.
It's like when
that's a daunting task.
Yeah, it's like when your teacher says everybody starts off with an A, and then you just got to keep maintaining it with your grades and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I love you, me.